Well, hello. Sorry. Welcome to Friday Night Flock Talk. I'm Robin Sullivan from the Leather Elves, and I'm here with Jack Pine from High Redbird. How are you, Jack?
Oh, I am having a day, Robin. Like everything seems to be going wrong. I was running late this morning. The check engine light on my car came on. I tried to just eat a taco before our flock talk, and I think juice squirted up and burned the inside of my nose. I think I need a vacation.
I think you do, or maybe I could get out my magic target stick. No. All right. I don't want to scare anybody off. So, welcome you guys, and we're happy to have you here this Halloween weekend. And we do have some announcements, don't we, Jack? I'm assuming.
Yeah. So if you guys are tuning in, tonight we're going to be talking about boarding your bird. But before we get into that, a couple of things we want to remind you guys. If you guys have not already liked the Leather Elves on Facebook, remember we do these live streams there, so you can chat with us there. There's also the High Redbird group on Facebook, so you can share any questions you have in either of those places. We work to share the information in both of those places. Obviously, we encourage you guys to tune in every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern for our Flock Talks. But if something comes up and you miss it, we do encourage you guys to subscribe to the High Redbird YouTube channel, because all of these videos are going to be put up on that channel in addition to you being able to watch them live. Now, the good thing is you can go back and watch any of the topics that Robin and I have covered. They are all put together in a single playlist. So there is hours. At this point, we are at days of content that you can watch. Binge watch it if you want to, pick and choose your favorite videos, but you can definitely access all of that information over there. Again, one of the things Robin and I enjoy about doing this is making sure that people have access to that educational content. You can also follow us on Instagram at the Leather Elves and High Redbird. We'll share all of the information for any of our upcoming sessions. We'll also share some other fun things, animal care things, lots of stuff for enrichment over on Robin's page, The Leather Elves. And if you would like to take that education piece a step further, Robin and I both encourage you guys to check out Parrot Festival, which is going to be coming up that last full weekend in January. That's going to be January 28th through the 30th. It's in Houston, Texas. It is a fun educational conference. We have a vendor hall with vendors from across the country showcasing all kinds of different parrot themed avian goods. So toys, foods, cages, and of course, any of the things you might need as a bird owner: t-shirts, hats, cell phone cases. All of those things can be found at Parrot Festival. So we definitely encourage you guys to go ahead and check that out.
And we have another special announcement today. Well, we have a couple. So, I don't know if that's saying I'm a turkey or what. I'm not sure. But the Leather Elves is announcing a BOGO sale of buy one, get one free beginning November 1st through November 30th. You don't need any code. Just place your order and we'll send you two. And it does exclude seasonal items and skewer kit, but it's worth a stop by the Leather Elves shop. So come on down or I'll cast my spell. No. No coercion happening here. So stop by and check out the BOGO sale. And we have one more really important announcement that we need to make. We need to wish one of our favorite people a very happy birthday. Janice Lang, I hope it's just as magical as you are. Happy birthday, my dear.
Happy birthday, Janice. Hope you have a great one.
All right. And I know a lot of people have already wished Janice a happy birthday on the chat. So, all right. We got to kind of get down to business. I know Jack's had a rough day. I've been flying around on my broom, but it's not enough for vacation. I want to go someplace good. What am I going to do, Jack? Could you watch the birds? Do you want me to watch your birds for you while you go on vacation?
Well, I don't really know how that's gonna work, Robin. You're 1, 2, 3, carry the one, a lot of states away.
It's true. So, all right, that's not going to work. And you know, I there aren't a lot of people around here where I live that know a lot about birds. So, oh, that's out. Can't ask a friend. I know you could hire a pet sitter.
You could. Depending on where you are, there are a lot of options for pet sitters. Um, Finding a pet sitter that is comfortable with and understands birds can be a little bit tricky, though.
Mhm.
So, if you want to go that route, I definitely recommend reaching out to maybe your local bird club. Maybe there's somebody they know that they have experience with that they can tell you, yes, this person knows how to take care of a parrot, because taking care of parrots, taking care of birds, it's a lot different from taking care of dogs and cats.
And I know there's one in the Long Island area, I believe. Caitlin Saxon does some pet sitting, but I know that she is got a ton of people that she's doing that for right now. And so that can be, maybe it's a little bit, I don't know, if you're going to get a pet sitter who's got the time. So that is an option, but it's something that Eva says make sure they don't sit on your pets.
That
But
that is a that is a a thing to look for in a pet sitter.
it is, and we're going to talk about what to look for. But so the other option that we have found is boarding your bird. And we have a little video clip that we want to show you guys about our guest, Karen Anderson, who owns Avian Suites. And Karen does an amazing job. She's going to join us in a minute. But Nick, can we show that video, please?
Avian Suites is the only facility of its kind that we know about in the United States. We only board birds here, and most of the birds are parrots, parrot species, although we have had small passerines like finches, and we did have last year one green aracari, which is the smallest species of toucan. We have actually exactly 355 active clients right now, and probably about 1,000 birds between all of those folks. People always ask the question, does it talk? And the answer most of the time is yes. A better question I like to tell people is, where do you turn it off? How do you make it be quiet? We had a new client here to the Birdie Four Seasons, and it's a green-winged macaw named Sierra. And we had an open house, and so we're talking about the food. Well, we're going to need coffee, we're going to need cookies and chips and dip and whatever. And Sierra, obviously he's able to hear us, and he hollers, "Get milk!" We fell on the floor laughing. The African greys have a particular affinity for Pop Goes the Weasel. I whistle, and at the appropriate place, they pop. There's the Amazon parrot that sings "I Left My Heart in San Francisco." We have one Amazon, a yellow-nape Amazon, that comes to see us, and he'll get a couple bars into the song, and then he hollers to everybody in general, "Come on, sing!" And you should, you better, because he'll keep asking you. We had another macaw who came in, and into the next room, we checked in an Amazon parrot, and he said, "Hi, Alex. Hi, Alex." And he said it many different ways, very loud and continually, and he did that for about a day and a half. The next morning we came in, we uncovered Alex, and he started in with, "Hi, Alex." And the macaw in the room next door hollered, "Shut up, Alex." And it did quiet Alex down for, I don't know, a couple minutes anyway. You look into those eyes and they're a little bit reptilian, but very deep. There are people who just don't get it about birds, and it's like, it's just a bird, you know. And once you understand how intelligent the creatures are and what they're capable of learning and some of the other things, it's not just a bird. What a good boy you are. You're just Mr. Unreliable.
So here's Karen. Karen, that was a really cool video. I'm glad we shared that. How are you?
I'm good. We're really busy, and it's actually decent weather here right now, and so life's good. That is one old video, I have to say. The video's like maybe 8 years old. It was fun.
I think it's great. So, Karen, we're talking tonight about, as you know, okay, need a new mouth. Bird boarding. And Jack and I have, so Jack, what do we always tell people they've got to do before they do anything?
Board their bird. Is it like a torture technique? Is it like waterboarding, but like, with birds?
No, not if you go to Avian Suites. It's not. But
I should probably look into that a little more, huh?
That's it. What are you supposed to do first?
Look into that a little more?
Do your research.
Okay, where's my reinforcement?
We fixed a little snacky tray for you. It's sitting right there on your table. So, but Karen, we made a list. Jack and I made a list of things that we feel like people. Good job, Lori. Lori says research. You've taught her well, Karen. But some of the things we talk about are location. So, how far do your clients come to see you, Karen?
Most of them are from the Twin Cities area, Minneapolis, St. Paul area. We have some from outstate, and we have a couple from Wisconsin, and there are some from South Dakota and North Dakota. And we have a long-time client who drives their umbrella cockatoo up from Arizona to Minneapolis to the suites. They drop the bird's name is Popcorn. They drop Popcorn off, and then they go about their business, because they've got friends and relatives here. So, but Arizona is I think that might be the record.
All right. So, Jack, what would be the perfect distance? If you had your choice, how far would you go if you needed to board widget?
Well, so I think that really comes down to what you're getting out of it. Obviously, if there is a facility that is, has experienced caretakers, it has the experience to properly care for birds, it has all of the things that are needed to provide their physical, their mental, their emotional well-being, that stimulation, that enrichment that we always talk about, that socialization that they need. There's a facility like that, I am willing to go a little bit further. And I'm going to give you guys a disclaimer right now. That is why we asked Karen to be here today, because Robin and I have both toured her facility, and that really is the gold standard for what avian boarding should be. So
it is.
Yay!
And I have to, I guess, a word of caution too. We're going to talk about that gold standard today. Tonight. We're going to talk about, what's best of the best look like. And it looks like Avian Suites. But that doesn't mean that if you can get a place that is safe, that has good enrichment, that has good, care practice, best practices to say, oh no, it's not, it's not the very best. You want to look for the very best, but figure out what's important to you when you board your bird. And I think that's the standard you have to go by. So is that a fair statement, do you think?
I do, yeah. We are very specialized, and not everybody has the luxury of having the type of facility that we have. Robin and Jack know that we do not board birds from different families, different owners. We do not board those birds together, so there is no communal boarding, and it's expensive to build a place like that, or to make one. And we have over 24 years, we have a lot of protocols that we've set up. One of the things that you want to be really careful about is, as Jack said, how knowledgeable are these folks? And there are questions that you can ask, and I'm sure that you can figure them out. One thing in particular is, are there, if this is in somebody's home, who else is in that home? Are there children? Are there other animals? Whatever. And you want to be really, really careful of that. But just ask questions, because I can just run off at the mouth forever. So,
so, I think experience is really important. So, Karen, you've been doing this since like the early 90s, right?
I've been working with, I've had birds, been working with birds since early 90s. I've owned Avian Suite. I was one of the first clients at Avian Suites, because I had a baby gray that I was hand feeding, and my partner and I were going to go to Houston, as a matter of fact, to see the Grand Opera. And there was no place to leave Earl the girl, who was still getting formula once or so a day. And Avian Suites had just opened, and I was pointed at Avian Suites, and the first owner was a delightful young woman, and she was a vet tech, and she knew stuff, and she had her own birds. And once I saw the place, I was sold. I'm not sure how I would. I don't want to be saying anything negative about communal boarding, because if it's done right, it can be safe, relatively speaking, and it can be a lot of fun for the bird, because communal boarding in and of itself has plenty of enrichment involved. So, just being around other birds, when you watch a bird who's been in your home for, maybe, and by itself for maybe 5 or 6 years, and hasn't seen another bird in that time or heard one, and you get that bird into any kind of a boarding facility where it can hear other birds or see other birds, and it is amazing how they react. Sometimes they're fearful, but most of the time they're just, what is that? Is that a bird? We had African Gray Week about 2 weeks ago at the Suites. There were 10 African Grays there, and they were most of them were in different rooms. Some were from the same family, so they were in the room together, and they were calling back and forth, and they were having a gray convention, and that's pretty cool for the birds, and we get a big kick out of listening to it.
So, Jack, so we've got experience, location. What other kinds of things are you going to look for?
Well, so just like if you were going to go with something like a pet sitter who would come to your home, I would say look in your community for recommendations for a facility. If there's a certain facility that members of a bird club near you are using and they've had good success with, that would definitely be information that is very, very important to have. Even if you don't have a bird club near you, if you have friends that have birds and they know something that has worked, it's always good to have those people in your life, those other people that have birds, because they're going to encounter a lot of the same challenges that you're going to face. Going on vacation and finding someone to take care of your birds is one of those challenges. So finding recommendations, You can look online, but honestly, I like talking to people that I know, finding people who want to ensure that their bird is properly cared for.
And I mean,
I
go ahead, Karen.
strongly encourage anybody who is thinking about having somebody come in and take care of your pet in the home, or if you're going to take to their facility, get references. And get references, and one of the other things, the questions that you want to ask, regardless, is, what kind of insurance do they have? What kind of experience do they have? There was a person up here who was advertised. She had a website and was advertising that she saw it would come into your house and take care of your bird and all that. And if they're going to do that, and you don't really know these folks, they're not close personal friends, you want them to be bonded and insured. And you also want to have them have more experience than they had on this website. Their major claim to experience with animals was they had taken the online Red Cross animal medical thing, and that doesn't. And I think, no.
And I think too, those recommendations, like we've talked about how the bird clubs are not, they're dying out. But if you're part of a bird club, that's a great place to ask, people's opinion and get recommendations. And I think it's got to be more than, I have a bird and I've had a bird for a year. Okay. And maybe it's your best friend and your best friend knows your bird, and that's great. Then you go with that if you trust that person. But it's kind of like, for a lot of people, it's like dropping your kids off. You got to make sure that they're safe. You've got to make sure that the person knows what they're doing. And you kind of have to prepare. You've got to prepare your birds too. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But Karen, I know you guys do updates for your clients, right?
Yes. Yep.
How do you guys do that?
Well, we used to handwrite things. I mean, way back in the dark ages, we did have handwritten logs, but once we realized that you could probably do this a lot faster and a lot quicker, and you didn't have to have 18 reams of paper if you did emails, we set that up. So usually in the evening, early evening, the people, whoever's got a bird there gets a report card, and the report card is pretty it's special for it's specialized to every bird, because people want to know, are they eating, and people want to know if they've tried anything new, and people want to know, did they poop today, believe it or not. And people like to know what the bird's been up to and what kind of enrichment did it have. And so we, just a few sentences, and it makes people very happy. They get a report card, and it got to the point about maybe 5 years ago, everybody was all accustomed to getting these report cards. And so if they don't get one, if there's a computer problem or a server problem or something like that, the clients who have my home phone number call me at home. I didn't get a report card. I don't, is the place still there? So, but we do. And we will also, and we've done this many times, people can call during the day, when we're there, and check, can I go down the hall to talk? Can you take the phone down the hall to talk to my bird? Sure. And we'll take the phone down there, and people will talk to their birds, and that's cool. There are some clients, I have an iPhone, and there are some clients who are pushy enough to have me do FaceTime with them with their birds. And these are usually long time clients and friends, but we'll do that. We will do that because we want the owners to be comfortable. We want the birds to be comfortable, and so we go to great lengths to keep people updated about what these guys are doing.
Well, Karen, that brings up, I would think, a really good point. So for a lot of people, one of their considerations is going to be cost. What is boarding your bird going to cost? But I would think a lot of the argumentation there is how much can it cost? All you're doing is feeding the bird. So, but it sounds
No,
like you're doing a lot more than that. So, like, what all goes into
yeah.
taking care of a bird during the day?
Well, yeah. We've had every reaction possible. We are expensive, relatively speaking. As I did research, and found what other people charge to board parrots, and we charge the price for an African gray per night is $41 a night, and people gasp in disbelief, and they shudder, and their faces turn white, and they say, "But it's a bird," And now mind you, they have just told me and talked for 10 minutes to tell me that this bird is their child and they will do anything for it and whatever, and then you tell them how much it's going to cost them. And I tell people, you get what you pay for, A. And the other thing is, how much does it cost you to board your dog? And we got to know a lot more to take care of a bird than you have to know to take care of a dog. And people, we always have people come in for a tour if they want. We encourage it because they come in, they see the place, they talk to the staff, and they leave pretty comfortable. But yeah, it's like I said, we're expensive, and you get what you pay for.
And I think that's really the case. And I'm looking at the chat as we're talking, and I know that, Kiko's out in Tacoma boards birds, and Darla is one of the people that works there. And she's like, we do a lot more than just feeds the birds. I know that Bonnie, they board them at the Birdwalk in Painesville, Ohio. And there's just so much more. And I think people who may be new to having birds, or who don't, that's why Melissa, that's why there's credit cards. She's my kind of girl. But there are definitely things that you have to know. First of all, you have to do, and it's not just putting that bowl of food, it's preparing that bowl. So Karen, how do you handle if a bird comes in? Do you take special dietary requests when a bird comes in?
We do, and we also will reject special dietary requests. We had a woman come in with, and this is a long time ago, so I don't remember. It was, I think it was a conure, but I mean, we're talking 20 years ago. Anyway, she came in with this bird, and then she handed us like a medicine, plastic medicine bottle, and it had M&Ms in it. And I said, what is this for? Is it a gift for me? I'd be happy, And she said, oh, no, you give one of those a day to the bird. And I said, no, because there's chocolate in them, and it's way too much sugar, even if there wasn't chocolate in them. And by the way, is there a peanut in it? That's even better. Anyway, she said, no. And I said, well, what does your vet say about that? And she said, the vet said it's okay because I told her that he only eats the sugar coating. And I told her, he's not getting that here. Like the woman who, she's still bringing bird there, but she doesn't bring 3 boiled chicken legs a day for us to give to this bird. They don't get fed that. And we all, we ask when we take a pretty significant history, and we ask, so what is the bird like? What is his or her favorite treats? How do they respond to baths? How do they, we have a sheet that we use. And I asked one guy and he's still coming there he's got an 18-year-old green cheek. And the first time Stephen came in, I said, well, what's Guapo's favorite food? And Stephen thought, and he said, well, I guess that'd be pizza and beer. Okay. But he's not getting that here. We've had people come in with, this bird needs scrambled eggs every single day. And I just tell them up front, that's not happening. First of all, it's not good for the bird. And that's actually first and last, it's not good for the bird. And we're not going to do that. So, and people are pretty receptive to that because
most of the time, when they know better, they do better, and they're reasonable about it. We've had a few who, like the woman who came in and wanted us to give the bird marijuana every day. And marijuana, first of all, it's not legal in Minnesota. I don't care what form it's in. And whether or not you like it, if you're an aficionado or not, I'm not giving that to a bird. So we have seen a lot of weirdness. I'll just.
So it sounds
But yeah,
like not only are you having to do, dietary things, but no matter what you're doing, it sounds like there's a good amount of education that is continuously happening with your clients as well.
That's Avian Suites' unstated mission. Yeah, it's getting people educated. I was talking to somebody today.
Oh, Frank asked
we had a question.
if you had Frank asked if you had group rates. He's going to bring the whole flock from New York
Yes,
to Minnesota.
we do. We do. So say you have an umbrella cockatoo and a Goffin's cockatoo and a cockatiel. I'll keep in the same family. So the Goffin, we charge full price for the biggest bird. That's the umbrella. So we charge full price for the umbrella cockatoo, and then we charge half of what the regular rate would be for the Goffins and the cockatiel. Any time that, if it's going to be, they're going to be staying there for 21 days or more, that's an automatic 20% discount off of that. We do special arrangements with people who have small flocks. Like, if you've got eight budgies and they're all going to be in the same cage and they are not going to be handled because they're not hand tame and, so forth and so on, we're not going we will make them, a deal. We had a client who came in years ago and like 15 years ago and had 8 wild budgies because she had 2 budgies one time, and then they had, all of a sudden there were 6 babies, and now there was 8, but went on from there. She just lost her last bird. Not lost him, but he passed away, and she still calls and comes over anyway. But so we just charged her a rate. Here, this, because it's if we're not actively handling them and playing with them and so forth and so on, we'll do a group rate. I don't know if I think maybe the largest flock that we get in there is it might be Patty's. They're there right now, and there are 5 birds. There's 3 grays and double yellow-headed Amazon and male Eclectus, and that's we don't have the rooms for that. We don't have big rooms, so. But yeah, we will cut all kinds of deals if it's a bird that's recuperating and is going to have to be there for a while, and the bird's there because the owner can't get it to take the medication orally or whatever, and the vet says you have to get that medicine into that bird. You can't just put it on his food in the dish, and so we tend to charge, especially if they're going to be there a long time. We will set a rate for like a medical thing and do it that way. Any stay that's longer than 4 weeks is another. We will discuss the discount because I figured out a long time. I've told Robin this. I think I figured out a long time ago. I'm not going to be able to buy my Mercedes based on what we get here at Avian Suites. So it ain't going to happen. So I will work with people. There is a place here that boards dogs and cats, and they board exotics, and they charge, I think it's $15 a night for birds, and they can't do large birds. You have to bring a cage, and if you're going to bring your green wing in, I'm pretty sure you're not going to be able to get his cage in the car. But this place, well, they might have a flatbed truck. I don't know, but anyway, but the place charges $15 a night for the little birds. But the birds are in with all the other exotic animals in the exotics room. And so the birds are in
with the ferrets and the snakes and other reptiles and the, whatever all else is in there. And, that's not a really good situation for the birds. It is $15 a night, so, but not a good thing.
So
another thing, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I can, no, you better ask questions, because otherwise I just, will take this over, and you don't want that.
Robin, what's your question?
I was just going to say, so how far in advance? So, when Jack and I decide we're going to take a week off from Flock Talk, how far in advance do you need people to make arrangements to board their birds?
Well, we have gotten busier this year than we've ever been. After the pandemic, there was this huge pent up, surge. People wanted to travel and get out. But for holidays, for example, if you want to board the birds over a holiday, you need to start talking about it with your significant other, or make your plans several months ahead of time. We were full for Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's about 3 weeks ago. So, and we have a waiting list. So holidays and things like Martin Luther King Day in January and President's Day in February, people take advantage of that because those are 3 and 4 day weekends, and so they'll book those, and they are in demand and busy. And you would think that in the wintertime, people aren't going to be bringing the bird there, any place, but they like to take winter vacations, and so we are really busy in March, and it's very strange, but that's been the pattern. But typically, you used to be able to be able to call the same, like the same day, and some people still do. And if we can accommodate emergencies, we will do that. But anymore, it's like, you better give us, when it's not a busy time, like say the first part of December, you better give us a few days. If you're talking about a long stay, say 2 weeks or something, I would call as soon as I had started making my plans. And sometimes that can be months.
I know there's a couple of reasons behind that too. Obviously, there's just having the space to accommodate those birds. And for anyone who hasn't been to Avian Suites, you hear us talking about the different rooms. So each of the rooms are designated for an individual household. So they're not going to be sharing that direct space with birds from another household. But I know cleaning those rooms and getting them ready is another part of making sure that everyone stays nice and safe and healthy. One of the things that I was most impressed by, and to impress a zookeeper with this is noteworthy, Karen. Please know that. Your approach to biosecurity, I think, is incredible. So can you tell us a little bit about, first of all, for anyone who doesn't know, what biosecurity is, and then how y'all maintain that?
Okay, we have protocols that we use around cleaning the rooms or doing anything in the facility. There are rules, and they are hard and fast, about disinfecting when you go into and out of rooms. It isn't, ideally you would have, what do you call those things? And I'm losing my words. Like a pressure thing, so you can't, the air can't get in and out.
Like an airlock.
Yeah, thank you. God, I knew there was one. Anyway, but you would have something like that so that you didn't, that they didn't breathe the same air. Unfortunately, that would be horrendously expensive and not very, it's not doable. So, but what we do is we set the rooms up so that there's a minimum of things that go in and out of the room. So each room has its own trash can and various things like that. Night lights are in each room, and that stuff pretty much stays in the room unless it dies and we have to get a new one. And when we clean the rooms, those items are all cleaned and disinfected, just like the cages. The rooms themselves are scrubbed down. And when I say scrubbed down and disinfected, I'm talking ceiling, lights, walls, door, floor. And that has to be done because of the potential for the spread of any diseases. And we use bird safe disinfectants. We had to look for those for a while. Bleach, is the gold standard for disinfecting for regular people. I'm sure there's other what did you say earlier? The flaming laser bleach.
Yeah,
that we were talking about earlier. Yeah. And I'm sure that, many scientific places, and laboratories and stuff could have better disinfectants, but we don't use bleach because it's not safe to use around people, let alone birds. The products that we use are broad spectrum disinfectants. We clean the cages and the rooms with Mango Pet Focus. And we buy it in gallons at a time, and it's a concentrate, so we can you get it down to whatever. It's a relatively inexpensive once you've made a couple gallons worth. The stuff that we use in the rooms around the birds, when you go into the rooms or come out of the rooms, you want to disinfect anything that's touched something in the room. Your hands, your feet. If the bird flew to you and landed on your head, you get to spray this stuff on your head. This is the way it works. There's a gown, a scrub in each room, and the scrub goes in there for that bird or set of birds. And then when they go home, and the reason for the scrub is, again, it minimizes anything that we're going to carry from room to room. If I just walk into the room, with my regular, my shirt and my jeans and stuff, I can go in there, handle the birds, and I'm going to walk out with, who knows? And putting that scrub on helps minimize that. It by no means is perfect, but it's, that's the requirement. When we wash the cages, those cages are scrubbed. You take apart as much as you can. You scrub them all. Then you disinfect them, and then you dry, and then you wipe them down and disinfect them some more, because you want to be sure that you've got as much of any kind of dreck off of those cages. We just don't want that. And it's a lot of work, but it's worth it because we can be relatively secure in knowing that we did the best we could. And we also know that's not perfect. So one of the questions that you want to ask is, what kind of disinfectants do you use? I see people talking about, well, I clean, and disinfect with vinegar and water. And, that here's the scoop for you. Vinegar and water is not even a very good cleaner, and it certainly is not a disinfectant unless you are using the concentrated vinegar, which is essentially acetic acid. And that'll disinfect. It'll also remove the skin from your hands, and it's not safe to use around birds. And if you want to smell like a pickle, that's good stuff. The other thing that people do is they will refer to the whatever, the cage or whatever, as we sterilize everything. I want to see that autoclave. I want to see the size of that thing. Because, if you get one of those, king cage, for the 506s, I'd like to see, if, I'd like to see I really would. I'd like to see how big that autoclave is, because I'll bet you could put a car in it.
There's definitely a difference between something that is cleaned and then something that is disinfected and then something that is sterilized. Those are all going to be higher intensity levels of cleaning.
Yeah, and we don't have a way to sterilize stuff, but we can disinfect it. I just saw, I think Diane or somebody just said, going to ask about F10. We use F10 as well. F10 is super safe to use around them. There are vets that use F10 to nebulize birds with lung infections and things like that. I mean, it is safe. And it's very, very expensive, but that's okay. It's worth keeping around. We use that. That's the thing that we use on birds, that when they're convalescing from something. If say that we've got a bird that's being treated for psittacosis, and we've had that, and those birds are worked with last, and we do even more stuff if we've got a bird that is being treated for something. Normally those birds belong at the vet, but anyway.
And Julie brought up a good point here too. I mean, I've used F10 in the past, and she brought up the point that if you're using it on a porous surface, you can't rinse it, and that's very
Right.
true. So I think it also depends. What are you trying to disinfect? Or is it the cage?
And
Yeah. And
what's the dilution?
Right. And do toys, Karen, get switched out, and any kind of enrichment get switched out between,
Yes.
you don't share that kind of stuff, right?
No. The purchase that we have, we either have PVC perches that are scored, so that the birds can get a grip and be stable on them. We have other kinds of plastic, plastic perches that you can just generally get. We use a lot of dragonwood and manzanita, and those, when the perches come out of the cages, they are scrubbed down. They have to be pristine, and then they are soaked, and then they're disinfected, and everything is disinfected. I saw somebody, it flashed there, and somebody was saying that they use mango pet focus to disinfect. It is not a disinfectant. It is a good cleaner. It is not a disinfectant. And it's a great cleaner. Things like poop off those things are really nice products, but they do not disinfect anything. Oxyfresh is not a disinfectant. And I'm not by any means, I'm not bad mouthing any of these products, but you have to understand that there's a difference between cleaning them, washing them, and disinfecting them. And they must be disinfected.
Right.
Well,
and I think
it sounds like, go ahead, Robin.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, it sounds like, so when it comes to things like perching, as you're talking about those PVC perches, those really hard wood perches, manzanita is one of the hardest woods you're going to be able to find. It's going to be up to that scouring, that scrubbing, that disinfecting. A lot of the softer wood perches, pine is one of my favorites to use, but it's really hard to disinfect that, to make that safe for birds coming up. So it sounds like you're having to prioritize that biosecurity over certain items.
And one of the things about manzanita in particular is that, and there are, if you've got a bird that has some disability, or you've got an elderly bird or something like that, we have bales of vet wrap, and we will put those around the perches for that bird. And then, when the bird leaves, that stuff comes off, and then the thing's scrubbed and disinfected. So yeah, it's a huge amount of work. I'm amused frequently when people come in and they go, "Oh my God, I just love a job where all I had to do was come in and play with birds all day." And I say, yeah, I'd like that too.
Right. So we've talked about, what does the gold standard look like? But now, we need to talk about, what do I as a bird owner have to do when I'm coming to board my bird? So you all provide cages, correct?
Yeah, we have a number of. Did anybody else hear a bell?
No, it's just you, Brandon.
Oh, great. Well, that's usual. Anyway,
I'm coming in to drop off my bird.
Oh, Nick's here to drop off his bird. What does he have to do?
Well, he has to have a reservation, which he didn't make. No. Okay, so we tell people, when we send the reservation confirmation email out to them, we put on there the list of things that they need to bring. They it's best if they've been there for a tour, because then they can see, what we need. We like, if people have a cage cover, they should bring their cage cover if the bird gets covered. We want the bird to have an assortment of toys. I put a thing in our contract not too long ago, because people will come in and they put them in the cage, and the bird's sitting on the perch, and they dump some food in the dish, the pellets and the dry food, and we'll put the filtered water in, and then I say, well, where's his toys? Where's he needs some toys, and they go, oh, he don't like toys. I bought him an acrylic toy that was $45, 10 years ago, and he looked at it for a day and he didn't touch it, and he don't like toys. And so in the contract now that people have to sign, it says, if you bring your bird in without toys or any form of enrichment, you will have some, he will have some, and you're going to pay for it, because they have to have something to do. We also make we go through a lot of Dixie cups and shredded paper and, lunch bags and stuff like that, because we make cheap toys and put them in there. And
I was going to say, one of the things I really liked about the tour I got to do of Avian Suites is going through, first of all, your cabinets are immaculately organized, which makes me very, very happy. But seeing all of those, the paper cups and all the paper products, all the cardboard products, all the things for making toys, that there's a variety of different enrichment that can be provided for a bird. But at the end of the day, it's still disposable products, which means when that bird is done, it's not going to be reused on another bird. It's right. The safest thing you can do.
And we, if it can be reused, we'll send it. It goes home with that bird when he or she goes home. We found out years and years ago, we used these huge, you guys saw these huge paper rolls that we used to cut papers. It's like, 1,500, 2,000 feet of paper on the newsprint, plain newsprint. And I got looking at it, I don't know, it was a long time ago. And I realized that there were these plastic widgets and the ends of these paper rolls, hold it so you could put them on the spool. And they had little compartments in them. And I looked at that, and there were 2 per roll. And I thought, dang, if you got a big bead, and you put a piece of leather or chain through that thing, you put the bead at the bottom, you would put one of the bowls, the little thingies, facing up, and then one facing down. And now you've got a little container that they have to pry open. And so we can make all kinds of good toys for those. It's a lot of fun.
And, I think it's important that people think about that. It's just I'm going to take my bird, and I've got to get him there, and I've got to, do this. So I'm going to interrupt myself. Frank had a question. Do you have a good option for the not wax coated cups?
Yeah, you have to be careful because we use the 3 ounce, and generally, if I can find Dixie cups, I get those because they aren't waxed. Some of the generic products are waxed and kind of icky, but the Dixie cups that we use, I tested to make sure, and I do it periodically. So I put water in them and let them sit there. And they may have a coating on them, but it is not shiny plastic. And the birds typically, don't eat them. We watch. One of the things that we spend a lot of time just watching. Ella said to me today, I noticed that Peace, who's it's a pigeon, a big white pigeon, and she said, Peace he came here this morning. He's only pooped 3 times. And this was at like 4:00. And I said, well, yeah, but he's eating, right? And she said, well, yeah, he's eating, and he's, and I said, he was just flying around like a dervish in the room. So, I'm pretty sure he's okay. And then she said, oh, okay, well, we just, you want us to watch. And I said, yes, I do.
Yeah, better safe than sorry. But but so as far as what to bring with you, what I always suggest to people is that they make a checklist.
Yep.
And for themselves, okay, I've got to take X, Y, and Z when I go, but also write down, like, we all know that our birds have little quirky things, or maybe
And
we have quirky things that we want done for our birds. Let's be honest, we're
and
bird people, so quirky is, the middle name there. But
we tell people bring a list of if you just, it doesn't have to be a whole a novel. It just needs to have what's the favorite treats, what does he talk, and what does he say, and how does he respond to various things, and how does he like baths, and so we get a lot of information, and we tell people you really have to please bring in enough food for the duration of the stay. And I'm talking about pellets and treats. So we had a new client just came in with a Moluccan cockatoo, and the bird was there for about 5 weeks. And he brought in some of the crappiest looking pellets that I've ever seen. I don't know how old they were. They might have been, they might have been giving me a run for my money. And he brought in the bird got peanuts, 6-7 peanuts a day he gives the bird. And I told him flat out, we're not going to do that here. And he had been told, please bring in, a nice pelleted diet and so forth and so on. We have suggestions. And, I'm kind of, as you can, Robin already knows and Jack is finding out, but I'm kind of adamant about the way that things really do need to be done. And if I'm going to take care of your bird, I'm going to do the best job I know how to do. And I am not going to feed it 8 peanuts a day. I don't care what it is. And especially not 8 peanuts that have, black gunk all over them, because God knows how old they are. But anyway, so we have a list of things that we give to people, and we say, here. And so bring in toys. Bring in any other thing that it will make that bird comfortable. Does he have a favorite perch? If the bird likes to roost on a rope perch, a soft perch, we can't disinfect those. So you need to bring in your own rope perch. Some people, long-time folks, will bring in a rope perch for the bird, and because we know they're coming back in a month or whatever, we will clean that rope perch when they leave as good as we can, and then we'll put it in a closed bag. After it's cleaned, and we'll spray it with a disinfectant and whatever and dry it, and we'll put it in there, and that's for that bird only. And so people, we have one client who used to bring a television set in. And that's not on the list, but so we just kept it there. We clean and disinfect it, and so the other thing that I really would need to say, you need to. Oh, and we do require that every bird has an annual well bird exam. You can't board your bird there unless the bird is examined yearly. So that's
I think that's important, that's one of the requirements. If I went somewhere and they weren't asking me for some kind of vet check, I would probably be worried. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, and I think part of that, a couple of weeks ago when we did that session on budgies, and we had Danny in, and that actually became a really important thing that we wanted to drive home, that when you get a bird in your home, you need to make sure you're doing vet checks. You need to make sure you're doing what you can to provide that optimized care.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are going to think, oh, if I spend a couple of $1,000s on a macaw or a cockatoo, I probably should be doing vet checks. But even if you're getting something like a budgie, a parakeet, whatever you want to call it, a tiny little bird that you got from the feed store for $15, that animal still requires proper care. It still
Right.
requires a veterinarian. It still requires a proper diet. It still requires proper enrichment. So I think it's really good that a lot of bird owners, especially if we're getting brand new bird owners, can see that information and realize that, you know, there are some things you can do. You can learn how to build your own toys. You can, learn to train your bird yourself. But in terms of providing that proper care, there are some things you can't take a shortcut around. And I would say vet care is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every bird that comes there, I don't care if it's a finch or a canary, every bird that comes and stays there is examined by a qualified avian vet. And we don't have anybody board certified up here. We have some very, very good avian veterinarians, that are way experienced working with avian species. But they, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me that whether they're board certified, but it does matter to me that they routinely see birds and they know and they can explain to you what they're doing during the exam. And you can, we work really closely with most of the vets here that see avian species. And we've got a good, like 8 or 9 of them. And you can tell when the vets are going to be okay, if they don't tell your client that we had a client that just took his cockatiel in for his exam, and he brought the bird from the exam to the suites. And while he was there, he was, getting the bird in his cage and getting him set up with his toys and his perches and stuff. And then he says, I got a question. I just had him to the vet. I said, yeah. And he says, well, we were talking about the diet. And the vet told him, this veterinarian told him that his diet wasn't good enough because he didn't have any grit in it. Parrots don't need grit. And this guy sees birds routinely. Well, I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to be sending any client in that direction. So, it's.
And I think that's important too, is you've got to be comfortable with the facility, which I think, Karen, you make people feel very welcome. And you've got to be realistic too. When you make that list, that was one of the things I wanted to mention, that you're not asking them, so you need to go in and sing this song in the key of G every night that he's there. And then Karen would be able to do that. But then you need to go and, do this and do that. Be realistic when you're creating that request list. Not things that are, very, very important to you and your bird, but be realistic. And then I have one other issue that I want to talk about. And Jack, please chime in on this.
Okay.
Getting your bird to the boarding facility.
So this is one of our favorite things to talk about. Robin and I love talking about this. The basic training that you should start with doing with your bird. It's not going to be the most fun. It is not going to be showy behaviors. But the reason we start talking about target training, station training, crate training your bird is because it is the basis of so many behaviors. If you want to get your bird anywhere, crate training is going to be important. So going to the veterinarian for your annual exam, which you need to have before you go to visit Karen. And again, if you guys need help finding a veterinarian, Robin and I have done previous sessions on what to expect on a vet visit, how to find an avian veterinarian in your area, how to compile a resource list of different things you can use in your area. So make sure you're going back to check those previous Flock Talks, because all of that's going to be really helpful. Shameless plug. On the Hi Redbird YouTube channel, we also do a variety of different tutorials. One of the things that I love, and I was thrilled, because usually as soon as the camera comes out, that's when an animal decides, I'm not going to listen now. I'm not going to behave. I actually did a tutorial on how to towel train your bird so that it is stress-free. It is something that your bird grows to expect, and everyone gets to see it in real time, how it works out with the bird first seeing the towel and then working with the towel and eventually being wrapped in the towel, which, if you're going to the vet, may be a necessary part of their exam. If there's an emergency, if there's a disaster, if you need to evacuate, towel training your bird may be something you have to do, or rather, toweling your bird may be something you need to do. Towel training your bird beforehand minimizes that stress. So, towel training, crate training, please, please, please. I know they're not fun. You can't, when your friends come over, you can't show, look at this fun thing I can do. This bird will step up and step into this other cage. Ta-da! But I promise you, as a bird owner, it is going to mean so much. You are going to get so much out of it. Crate training, station training, target training, they really are so important.
And, Frank brought up a really good point in the comment section about training your bird to go in and out, getting your bird comfortable so they know they're not going to be in the crate forever, in the carrier.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so the reason we brought these things up is because please do not, there should be big giant letters that say do not take your bird to the boarding facility on your shoulder in the car, because right, it's very scary. Did you hear the scary music, or was
I didn't know if that was a car driving away?
No, it was the scary music.
Scary music.
So it's a scary thing. You transport your bird in the car without a carrier, and I know there's people out there going, "Oh, I do that all the time." But when you get to the boarding facility and you open the door and the bird flies away, your vacation's canceled.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And there are so many safety issues with that. Even if you are a good driver, you cannot guarantee that the people around you are good drivers. So what happens if you get into a car accident? What happens if an ambulance with sirens and flashing lights drives by you? That's a new stimuli that your bird is not used to. Having your bird loose in a car is
really not a good idea.
Please don't do it. Please just do me a personal favor. If nothing else, if any of the other information we've given you about why it's not a good idea is not, just please do me the personal favor. Don't do that. There's a reason why we talk about crate training. You do need to put in the work to get your bird comfortable going into a crate. It is something that takes time. Frank pointed out, you can't just lock your bird in the crate. You're usually going to have to work on it. Please don't put your bird in a crate and then slam the door and then, yay, we've got the crate. It's done. Because the chances are good that your bird is never going to go into that crate again. So pay attention to getting comfortable in that crate, moving around in that crate. And when you go to the vet, when you go to your boarding facility, when you go to visit your friends, you should find ways to make crate training fun and exciting. Everybody who sees your bird is going to be amazed that this bird is so well trained. They're so comfortable with all of these different things.
So this is awesome. Yay,
we
New
were
York,
totally,
whoever it was. Because that's awesome. Frank knows somebody who got a ticket for driving with his macaw on his shoulder. I love that. So
twice this week, just twice this week. So, well, I think the week's over for me. I don't think I have to work tomorrow anyway, but 2 times this week, I've talked to clients who can't get their birds back into the carrier. And it's a terrible struggle, and there's one guy that's routinely, late because he says, I can't get the bird in the carrier. He hates the carrier. And we try to tell these folks, we counsel them. Okay, here, go look at these videos. Here's a book that you can look, Rebecca O'Connor's book. There's things that you can do, but it takes work. and it takes some time. And there are people who want us to put the birds back. This is a fairly routine request. Would you have them already in the crate? When we come to get him, yeah, because he'll bite the snot out of you because he don't want to go in the crate, and people spend a lot of money on some of those carriers and things like that, and I look at them and I'm horrified because it would not take any respectable parrot with a beak very long to chew its way out of those. And just get a nice cat carrier box thingy, and set it up with a perch, and the bird will do well if you work with it so that it knows, it's like Frank said, it's not going to be in there forever, and you're not going to go away, and all of those things. And just taking a bird and slamming it in a carrier is just a horrific thing for that bird.
So, Jack, do you have any other questions for Karen or
No,
tips?
I mean, I think we've covered a lot of different points. I think we've given people a lot of different things to think about and to prioritize when it comes to boarding their bird. So if you guys want to find more information about Avian Suites, you can actually scan the QR code that's on your screen right now. Thank you, Nick. And I guess one thing I do just need to ask Karen, Gunnar here would like to know, how can he be boarded at Avian Suites?
No, unfortunately, Gunnar, I'm so sorry, but we are.
No. He is ready to crunch the numbers, Karen.
He's a good boy.
He is a good boy.
He's a good boy. We did have a client for a number of years who had 3 like Myers and a Senegal and something, and a bunny, a big French lop bunny named Marpole. And Marpole was house trained, and this was years and years ago, and this was the package. And so we had a bunny stay there fairly frequently, but he wasn't a lot of trouble unless you walked into the room and had a banana in your hand. He'd crawl right up your leg, which was disconcerting at best.
But,
well, we want to thank you, Karen, and I know you all may not be lucky enough to have Avian Suites in your town, but if you do your research, I think you can probably find not the same, but something that'll come up fairly close to where we are at, where Karen is at Avian Suites. Jack, do you have any final words?
Karen, this will be. Oh yeah, I have. If you have any questions about the products or any of the stuff, or how you would, because what we're talking about it's not impossible to do at other places. And so it's just, it's a matter of learning and helping people to understand the kinds of things that need to be in place and how you get that in place and the products and so forth. So yeah, if you've got questions, call me. Yeah, I'm at Avian Suites most of the time.
Thank you. And we do, so I mentioned the BOGO sale at the beginning. We've got that, from November. Yes, Jack, did you have something else?
I'm good.
Jack disappeared.
Okay. I'm back.
Are you back?
Yeah.
So just the BOGO sale, I mentioned that at the beginning. And then we also are excited to announce that we are doing an advent calendar. I hate rushing. Jack got his in the mail. I hate rushing the season like this, but what we've done is we've put together a DIY advent calendar. It needs to be ordered now through November 21st, actually probably tomorrow through November 21st, because I don't think it's up on the site yet, so that we can guarantee you get it by December 1st. And the exciting part of this is there's going to be a day by day, correct, Jack? Do you want to, go ahead, tell them all about it.
So the way that the calendar works is every single day, just like with a normal advent calendar, you get to open it up. You get different things. With this Parrot Toy Advent Calendar, you get different toy parts. And on the Hi Redbird YouTube channel, every single day, there will be a brand new video giving you an idea of how to use those different parts to build a new toy for your bird. So it'll hopefully help you build, an entire month's worth of toys for your bird, build your techniques and your toy building skills for your bird. And of course, if you want to, with those parts, you can freestyle. You can build whatever you want, but you'll also get a really good, simple, easy to manage idea for what to do with every single day of the Advent calendar.
All right. So thank you again to Karen, and Jack and I will, see you guys next week. Next week, we're going to be talking about conservation. And, we had promised you this week, but we thought that Karen and boarding was a little bit more timely with the holidays coming up. So, you don't board those at the suites, do you?
No, we just do big raptors, the velociraptor kinds. We have a special room for them, and we put the clients that bring them in the room with the velociraptors. It's okay.
I don't even want to talk about the biosecurity.
I feel like Nick doesn't even have like a soundtrack or anything. He just has like an overly ambitious African gray that sits with him and produces all of these sound effects.
And he cues them, and they make these.
That one's, yeah.
So we're mixing holidays here, and that's all good. But I think we're all set to say goodnight, you guys, and we will see you next Friday. And again, thank you, Karen. See you later, Jack.
It's fun.
Take care.